We'll continue this morning with the Plainview Bears, and welcome back Coach Pruitt to DeKalb County. I think maybe the third time back at Plainview. Coach, if you'd let the players introduce themselves in their position, or you introduce them, then maybe an opening comment from you about this year's team.
Okay, let me introduce them right quick. I got Levi Brown, number 4. He's a multiple offensive and defensive player from quarterback to any of the running back positions or even wide outs. Defensively, he plays all the secondary. 26, Dylan McCullough. Also a fullback most of the time offensively, but he can play running back too. He plays linebacker and DB. On my right side is Grant Martin. Grant's an offensive defensive lineman. And Corey Keehan, 62, offensive and defensive lineman. I wrote their names down because I didn't realize it, but it took me a little bit to figure out who I wanted to bring. I wrote different names down. I wrote these down. I started writing their names down, and I noticed that I had coached all their fathers. So I was afraid I might call them by their fathers or their guardians. I might call them by that name. So I wrote their names down, and most of them I call them by nickname or by their numbers. I never call kids hardly by their name. It's always a number because I don't feel like that's hardly as personal if I get on number 26 or number 4 as it is if I call them out. And so we go on, and that's the way we kind of roll. I'd like to say I'm tickled to death to be back in this area. I'd like to emphasize that Plainview was not broken. Coach Ledbetter and his staff did a good job. They won 10 ball games 2 years ago. They won 7 last year. It's not like you go into a place where you've got to, culture is a big word. Everybody talks about culture. Well, to me, that was not something that had to be established. Doing things right was not something that had to be established. Practicing hard was not something that's had to be established, even though I've never seen them in a pair of pads. We've not hit anybody, and I know football is not a touch game. But as far as in the weight room, they have plenty of energy. They work very hard. They have won. They know how to win. And as far as our schedule, it's basically the SEC West. And I think it gets you prepared for the postseason. If you play our region plus our non-region games, there's nobody else that you're going to play against that's going to intimidate you come playoff time. So the big deal is to stay healthy and get into playoffs. And our goal always is to try to host a playoff because statistics are very strong. If you host playoff games, you advance a lot more often than if you travel. So if you travel, you got to get ready. But the biggest thing is to get in. We've been excited all summer. We've done a little bit of 7-on-7, not a whole lot. We have focused on ourselves. We'll be multiple offensively because we've done a little bit of this, done a little bit of that, trying to figure out where we actually stand. Defensively, it's easy to be multiple. Coach Ledbetter has been a D coordinator for me before, so, that's not as hard of a deal, but we'll see offensively and defensively. I guess we won't call it a secret, but if we got any kind of advantage by not getting to play in any type of jamboree, then I guess going into the first game with a little bit of the unknown as far as what we're doing offensively would be our advantage. We had a semi-spring. Coach Ledbetter got sick. Scottsboro couldn't get headgears, so they didn't play a spring game. But we went out enough that we could not have a start earlier and have a spring game or a fall jamboree. So it's kind of, you got to deal with what's given to you. So with that, I'll take any questions.
Coach, I usually ask how many starters returning on offense and defense. I'm not going to ask you that question because you didn't get there after spring. I want to know from your standpoint, I don't think you've ever been in a situation where you've come in this late to a program. How tough is that for you as a head football coach that's been coaching 40 years to come in a situation like you're coming into this year at Plainview?
Well, the first head job I ever had was at Pisgah, and it was after a tragedy. The principal and the custodian were killed in a fire. And so I moved in pretty much and started practice. And when I took the Plainview job the first time, I think I moved in, and like the next week we started practice. But that's been before most of you people were born. So, but that is what has happened. But in today's world, where sports is a 12-month deal, where the weight room is so important, it has been a little bit of a difficulty coming in and trying to, because also the last 2 years with the COVID, I went to Marion County, we didn't have a spring because all of a sudden they sent us home and wouldn't let us come back. And then they wouldn't let us come back in the summertime because of COVID. So we had to pretty much skip spring and part of the weight program. So it's a little bit like that. But, you know, the biggest thing about football is blocking and tackling, lining up right and taking care of the football. So that's where we are. So, you know, I don't feel sorry for us. We'll be okay.
Well, Coach, it's good to have you back. Of course, you went to Albertville, and of course, I kind of kept up with you in Dade County, Marion County, because that's kind of where the areas where I grew up as a kid. But it's good to see you back here. I'm sure anytime you can come back home, you're going to have a short distance to come to school every day. But I want to get off the beaten path a little bit. How important, and nobody's really asked this, how important is it for kids to participate in extracurricular activities, being so many distractions are going on around the world now?
It's more important now than it's ever been. Way more important. We live in a social media. You can go into a locker room now and you don't have near the noise level that you might have had 20 years ago because everybody's on their phone, okay? The biggest thing that kids do now is all the social media stuff is difficult. Think about when you was a child, if everything you had ever did that was not correct was put on social media and out there for everybody to see. Just think about that. We also live in a time where everything is structured, okay? Kids sit down all day in a classroom. They are on their phone when they get home at night, so they're sitting in another still position. So hamstrings, lower backs, all of that kind of stuff, no kids hardly know what a square bale of hay is, okay? We live in a time of fast food. A lot of us don't know anything about a garden, don't know how to pick a garden, much less work in the, you know, that kind of stuff. A good friend of mine once said, and his name is Sam Graham, said the three worst things that happened to us was round bales of hay, fast food, and I can't remember the other one. That's how, because I have sometimers disease. Fast food, round bales of hay, and I guess the internet. Oh, I know what it was. He was talking about thumb games. You know, same thing. Okay, that's the three things. So we have to get our kids up and get them moving, and because they're naturally going to be stiff because they're growing, plus they sit on their backside all the time and play with their thumb games, plus they sit in class all the time, and if they're lucky enough to play sports, it's always, they don't know what shove up is. They don't know what setback is. They don't know about all these little games that we used to play 3-on-3, 4-on-4 on Sundays and all that kind of stuff, make it, take it, and all that kind of stuff. Everything they do nowadays, they're all organized. You know, they're doing this organized. They're playing t-ball. They're playing this. They're playing that. They go from one to the other, and it's all organized. They don't just get outside and get on a bicycle. They don't ride bicycles anymore and go to the park or go somewhere and their parents don't see them till dark. You know, it don't happen. You know, we used to, it always happened. Of course, you wasn't always where you told your parents you was at, but you was out till whenever, you know, and you were playing and having fun, and you made better punters. You made better the punting, catching, playing all positions, pitchers, and, you shove up and all that kind of stuff, that's a thing that, the past, good or bad. That's my soapbox.
Guys, I have been covering sports long enough that I can remember, not to just pick on Corey, but I can remember at ball games, them being out playing, playing ball while the games start. And now here they are, leaders of the team, because y'all are up here picked to be a leader. What does it mean to you, looking back at your playing on the sidelines, in the close to the field house, and now leading the team and playing for such an icon of a coach?
I think when we was younger, we all looked up and we were all wanting to be there one day, and now then we're there, and it's hard to believe we're there. And it's just one of those things that you've always dreamed of doing, playing on Friday Night Lights.
Yeah, basically back to what he said. We always used to look up to those guys, and now we're here.
I always look forward to being a Plainview Bear because of older siblings and parents that played. As Coach said, he coached our parents in school, and it's always been I want to bleed blue one day. So.
It means a lot to me to be a Plainview Bear. You come out here and you're sitting on the side playing your little game, and then you look up to the players, and now we're here. We're leaders of the team. We motivate the others to do their job. That's what we're supposed to do. Make us all better, really. And that's my take.
Well, I'll stick with asking the players this question and sort of piggyback off Marla here, but she mentioned Coach Pruitt and what he's meant to this community for quite a long time, even when he wasn't coaching at Plainview. He mentioned that he coached your dads, and I'm sure that you'd probably heard some stories before, and then when Coach Pruitt was announced as the new hire again this year, you probably heard a lot more stories come out or were reminded of stories. But in the short time that you've gotten to know Coach Pruitt, not just from stories but being around him, what impact has he had on you, and what has he sort of brought to this Plainview Bear program heading into the 2022 season?
I think with him coaching our dads, I think it's something special to be able to play for the coach that also coached for dads. But, I haven't got to know him completely, but he's a great guy. You can go to him for anything you need, and he'll always be there for you.
Yeah, I think Coach Pruitt has brought us to a higher standard because he coached all of our dads, and they won a lot of ball games in the 90s, so we want to be just like them.
The reason I see it being special is because he was willing to come back because he's seen that we needed that push, and it's because he appreciates us as much as we should him. That's my take on that.
It's special to me because I can at least live up to my dad's name. He has a high standard, and with Coach here, my standard has to be as high as his. That's my take.
Coach, I was hoping you would comment. What's it like watching Luke run his program at Pisgah and building there?
Well, it's been a lot of fun. In fact, when they called me about this job, I know more about what's going on at Pisgah than I do at Plainview, and especially the younger kids. And so, because it's been a while, like they said, it's been like 7 years since I've left Plainview, and of course, I'm surprised you've not asked me, Coach, when are you going to quit? Because that's what most everybody asks me, and I'll tell you when I croak. But I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed watching his sons, and and I will still. That was the first bunch that we went together against with 7-on-7 and some of that kind of stuff, and it's a lot of fun. It's fun when your kids do what you do. And it makes, you know, every time we eat together and that kind of stuff, it's enjoyable for the men, but I'm not sure it is always from the women because of what they listen to. And, but, you know, so, yeah, it's been very enjoyable. When he went to Pisgah, he had a big mountain to climb, and I think he's done a great job.
Coach, you spoke, you're not playing in a jamboree. You open against a team, I don't know that Plainview's ever played Priceville unless it was a playoff game a few years ago, but you open against Priceville in a few weeks.
We played Priceville when we were 4A. Priceville won 10 football games last year, you know. Not only would we play in the SEC West, you know, Priceville won 10 last year. If Fife wins 10, that's an off year. So, I mean, you know, the people we play are used to winning football games. So the bad thing about Priceville, I think the last time we played them, it was like a 64-14 game, and we won. So they probably got that up in their dressing room, even though it was 20 years ago or 15 years ago or in this 10, I don't know. But they play a good brand of football now. They're much better than they used to be, and they're 4A school.
Coach, thanks for being here today. Thanks, guys, for being here today. Wish the best of luck to the Bears this year.
Thank you.